The 2024-25 Women's Super League is on the horizon. In preparation, we're previewing every single team and discussing how they'll shape up over the next campaign. We take a look at the transfer business conducted by the teams so far and offer suggestions of who else they should move for before the season gets underway. Now we're on to Manchester United. Last season's torrid time was masked by FA Cup glory at the end. Can Skinner take confidence from that victory and inspire his side to further success, or are United in for another tough season? This is our 2024-25 season preview for Manchester United. Alright, let's talk about Manchester United then. We're going to start by looking back through last season. It was a campaign of mixed fortunes. It started with the disappointment of not qualifying for the Champions League, being knocked out in the qualification stage. The league form wasn't really there for them all season. They finished 5th in the end, which I think would be obviously a huge disappointment considering they were second the season previous, but they did win the FA Cup. So swings and roundabouts. Overall, do you think it was a good season or a bad season for Manchester United? How much impact does an FA Cup win have?
I think the fact they won silverware in an era where winning has been dominated by Chelsea, Arsenal and City, I think that makes it a good season. And I'm surprised that I'm saying that as well, because I do think that kind of came out of nowhere. It was a really tough campaign for United last season domestically. You know, there were problems off the pitch, there were problems on the pitch, players weren't firing, there was a lot of underperformance from star players, and that really let United down. But in the FA Cup, things fell right, and you have to give them credit. They took advantage of the circumstances, and they went and won the FA Cup. I say they took advantage of circumstances because, you know, City knocked out Arsenal. City then should have never lost to Tottenham. And realistically, I think City beat beat United in that final. And the Chelsea United game was a little bit on the controversial side. But you have to give credit to United. They scored the goals against Chelsea. They won that game. They won the final. And they deserve to win the trophy. So for me, it ended really well for United. But I think the main thing is you can't let that just cover up all the problems last season.
I was going to say, it definitely feels like papering over the cracks, or more papering over a Grand Canyon, which is all the issues at Manchester United. It doesn't feel like a long-term situation that is going to work. I think it's quite obvious that Skinner's not the right man to lead Manchester United forwards, and I think the board are well aware of that. The issue is, who do they move for right now? Because there's not a whole load of options out there. We spoke about this with Arsenal and City, where perhaps they would want a better manager. But with Hayes leaving Chelsea, the best option was always going to go to Chelsea, and then you're picking at the scraps. Because there wasn't a whole load of options on the manager market last summer. So I think it will be in the back of United's mind that next summer will potentially be a chance to change Mark Skinner. This, for me, feels like the make or break season for Skinner. He's got to up the performance level. They've got to play better football. If not, he's got to be out of a job.
Yeah, I think the FA Cup saved him, and I think most United fans and any other WSL fan will agree. I really do. I think
United fans hate him.
Yeah. As you say, it was a tough manager market, but realistically, you can't sack a man who's just won silverware. If he hadn't won that FA Cup, he was out. There's no way of staying in that job because there were so many problems last season that it was such a massive underperformance. That FA Cup saved his job. I'm sure he knows that better than anyone, and he will want to do better this season. I'll be very intrigued to see if they can. They've had an interesting window, to say the least.
Yeah, we'll get into that in just a second. I was just going to say, I think there has been talks, at least there were rumours that there were talks with the Wolfsburg manager about taking over next summer. So whether or not that comes to fruition or not, that'll be interesting to see. The problem I see right now is that what is attractive about the Manchester United proposal? Because you are 4th, maybe 5th in the pecking order if you consider Liverpool to be cemented 4th place now, with Tottenham and Villa looking more promising as projects behind them. I only see United slipping further down the table at the moment. That's the issue. Where's the drive? Because there's no investment from the board. The fact that their pre-season games weren't televised anyway, it just shows a lack of interest. The fact that they've been shifted training grounds. I know now they're trying to say, well, actually the facilities aren't that bad, but they had good facilities and they've just been pushed out of those because the men's side need them. It just feels like the women's side is treated as this second club rather than as equals. And I don't see why any manager would view it as an attractive prospect. They'd have a hard time convincing a lot of managers to go there because there's no investment.
And this is why I give some credit to Man United, and whether that credit goes to Skinner or whether it goes to the players, that they did manage to win an FA Cup in these circumstances. I do think they deserve their plaudits for that because, as you say, it's very tough to do. There's a reason they aren't competing for the WSL with Chelsea, Arsenal and City because they've got nothing behind them. They've got no backing. So the fact they went and won a trophy, I think they deserve the praise they're going to get. The problem is they need to back that up this season now, and that is going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, all right. Let's get into what's been a very mixed window for Manchester United. Then we'll start with the very disappointing outgoings. First up, Lucia Garcia, arguably United's best attacker last season, leaving on a free to join CF Monterrey. This was a big shock at the start of the window. I think a lot of people saw Garcia's performances last season and assumed United would be quick to renew her contract. But they were anything but, and they failed to act. They decided that perhaps they didn't want her going forwards. Perhaps she decided she didn't want to stay. Either way, she's left to join Monterrey. This feels like a big loss to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we speak about FA Cup win. She was the main reason why they won it. The performance against Chelsea in the semi-final, it was quality. The performance at Wembley, even better. You've lost a big game player, a player who performs to the highest level, and she was pretty consistent at in a front line that was so inconsistent. I think Garcia actually showed some consistency up there. Bizarre. If she chose to leave, fair enough. But at the end of the day, that is still on United for not sorting it out sooner. That is, I mean, it's a massive failure to let her go on a free.
Yeah, then we've got Katie Zellum, who's left to join Angel City. Again, letting your captain and only defence midfielder who was at the club last season leave on a free transfer. Prime defence midfielder. I know they've got Hayley Ladd, and they have replaced her this summer. But that is such a huge member of the side who they have let go for absolutely nothing. And while it may not have been their decision this summer, they would have known her contract was expiring this time last year. And yet they haven't convinced her in a year.
Yeah.
I really don't understand that one. So Zellum's gone, and then of course Mary Earp's joining PSG. The thing I get that United, because they wanted to renew Mary Earp's contract, they're very honest and open about that, and she didn't, because why would she right now? She's gone to PSG, which is a more interesting project, more attractive proposal. But even so, they have made very little effort to go and sign someone of the same calibre. Yes, they've got other goalkeepers. But to lose Mary Earps and just go, our backup will do, is how it feels. They've not gone out there and spent money. They've not gone out there and found a goalkeeper on the same sort of level. So that's going to be a downgrade in that position. And when you consider how crucial Earps was to keeping them in games at times last year, I have serious doubts about their ability to see out games. Because I have serious doubts about their ability to keep a clean sheet.
Yeah.
They couldn't many times last season, even with Earps. And now they're downgrading that goalkeeper. Again, truly bizarre recruitment. Irene Guerrero as well, not a huge loss. She's going to Club America. She didn't play a whole lot for them last year. And Gemma Evans, who's been a really nice rotation option for them for a few years now, joining Liverpool. I never rated Gemma Evans that highly, if I'm honest. I think she's better suited to Liverpool, where she will be more close to the level of that backline, and that backline is actually more defensively solid, so she may look more comfortable in that. United just never look comfortable in defensive areas, especially in transition. So it's another weird one, but they have got a lot of fullbacks, so it's not a huge loss. Let's look at their incomings then. The first of which was actually a great bit of business. To be fair, slated their outgoings, and rightfully so, but what they have done in the market is good. There are still things they should have done in the market, but what they have done in the market I think has been good.
Yeah, I agree. I think my problem I think the players they bought in are good. But my problem with it is they haven't really replaced everything they've lost yet. They've replaced some of it, and
feels like they haven't replaced anyone they've lost. They've replaced all the other areas of the team that needed sorting last summer, and then this summer they've lost players and not replaced them.
Yeah, but overall it's still good. It's still a decent incomings.
This year delay to their recruitment. Next summer they're going to get a great goalkeeper, but Toon's going to leave and they won't have an attack midfielder. So maybe one year they'll get it right. But Dominique Janssen was the first to join on a free transfer from Wolfsburg. This is a really smart bit of business. The only question mark I had around it was how is that centre-half partnership going to look this season? Because Turner and Leticia is probably the biggest positive in their team, a really solid centre-half partnership. I wouldn't be surprised now to see them use Leticia as a right-back or as a centre-back pushing into midfield, some sort of libero role. So I'd be very intrigued to see if Mark Skinner's got something tactical up his sleeve. You never know, there might be something up there. It's going to be interesting to see. But Dominique Janssen, a player, comes in with bags of experience. If the Wolfsburg manager is to come in next summer, that's a player who is going to be familiar with him. So I think there's a lot of positives there. A really solid player on a free transfer as well. It's very low risk. I think it's a great signing.
Yeah, and a centre half was a very much needed position for United. because if one of Turner or Letizia got injured, they'd have been extremely light at the back. So bringing Janssen, it makes sense, and she's a very, very good defender.
Yeah, definitely. So then the next one, of course, is Melvine Mallard. We've got her FB Ref profile. She was on loan last season. She's coming on a permanent now. She ranked really highly for non-paying goals last season, 0.55 per 90, up in the 93rd percentile for attackers in the women's top 9 competition. So that's a really strong outlook. Same for non-pen XG as well, so she's getting in the positions to get those goals with 0.48 non-pen XG per 90. Lots of shots away, lots of touches in the attacking penalty area. She is a very good forward option, I think. I think when she played for United, she looked like one of their best attackers. They just didn't really play her enough.
Yeah, that's my big thing with Mallard. I think she did well in her spells, but as I spoke about earlier, there was that inconsistency. But that was because she wasn't playing. You can't consistently perform if you're not playing consistently. So she had an okay year last year with the amount of minutes she got. If she gets more minutes, then I think she'll have a really, really strong campaign.
Yeah, with Garcia gone though, I think there will be more minutes to go round this season on that left flank. So I expect to see Mallard take up a huge number of those. Then we've got Elizabeth Turland joining. This is an excellent bit of recruitment because as we look at the top goal scorers charts from last season, she ranks second behind only Khadija Shaw with 13 goals. Ignore Khadija Shaw on 21. No one's going to get anywhere near that. She's ridiculous. But Turland was very good, 13 goals. And I've also highlighted Nikita Paris on this list as the next highest Manchester United player because I think it shows the fact that Nikita Paris was their top scorer on 8 goals, when you consider that Manchester City's top scorer had 21, their second top goal scorer had 11. We consider that Chelsea's top goal scorer had 13, their second top scorer had 11, and with Arsenal with Alessia Russo in there on 12, it shows United just didn't score enough last season. They didn't have a player who consistently put the ball in the back of the net. Yes, you had Paris score 8 goals, you had Toon get a couple goals. You had players like Miyazawa and Mallard produce goals at times. Heisei was inconsistent but did score. Rachel Williams. But there's no one striker who you know is going to score a goal. With Elizabeth Turland, you guarantee goals. In her first season with Brighton last season, 13 goals in 22 matches. Really strong numbers. And I think in a system at Manchester United that should produce her more opportunities. I say should because, again, I think Skinner's football is really poor and really boring. And I do think that's a lot of the reason why Heisei looked bad last season, because they simply don't create chances. A striker can't score if they don't get the ball. So I think in that regard, Turland may not put up the same numbers she did last year. It's all on whether United can get her the service. But if they do get her the service, she'll score goals. Yeah. Because that is what she does.
Yeah, definitely. For me, if you exclude the top 3 teams, Turland's the best striker in the league. And if United can give her the platform to perform, she will thrive. Scoring 13 goals on that Brighton side is an incredible number of goals. In United, that number should only be elevated. And if it is, then suddenly you're looking at 15 goals a season. That is nearly on the levels with your top strikers.
And it's double their top scorer last year.
Yeah, exactly. That would be huge for United. Difference. So for United, get her firing and Turland will deliver.
Yeah, definitely so. Then we've got Anna Sandberg joining from BK Häcken. This one didn't really make much sense to me when they signed her, but obviously yesterday it was announced that Hannah Blundell is pregnant, of course. Yeah. I was going to say has come down with pregnancy. That's a horrible way to say, isn't it? But she is pregnant. She's announced her pregnancy, and it was announced that obviously Skinner knew about that a month ago. So you can sort of understand why that signing would come in, and with George coming back from a long-term ACL injury as well, you can see why they need a left-back then desperately. And I think Anna Sandberg is going to be a really good option there. She had a good season with Häcken, who obviously were in the Champions League last season. We've seen their team pulled apart a bit this year with Kafai joining Arsenal as well. So, yeah, Sandberg, really nice left-back option, 21 years old, going to come in and be a really crucial part of this Man United side instantly, which is a bit of pressure, but I think she can handle it. Yeah,
very much so, as you say. She's a UWCL footballer, so she should be able to perform on the level that United need her to. I think that is obviously the interesting way up. She's traded UWCL football for WSL football, and I think
money as well.
And money as well. That's probably the one reason she's done that.
Playing for Manchester United can get you those bigger opportunities, and in theory, United should be a European. That is true. But in theory, United's future plan will be to be back in the Champions League. That will be their goal this season. Can they get back into that top 3? So, yeah, I think it's good move for her, good move for Manchester United. I'm sure Häcken will be gutted to lose her, but happy to see her move on to pastures new. Next, then we've got the Katie Taylor replacement, Simi Awujo. I'm not 100% on that pronunciation, so apologies if I've got that wrong. But she is a defensive midfielder who will be obviously the Katie Taylor replacement. Whether she will start or Ladd or Narsund, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it will be Awujo. So
yeah,
it's interesting to see how the midfield is made up this season, because it does feel like it could be very attacking to me. They're going to have to rely on Grace Clinton to play a bit of a deeper role than she did at Tottenham. At Tottenham, she was that advanced midfielder, but with Toon and Miyazawa and no other midfielders, Clinton is going to have to be that more defensive midfielder. Out of the two more advanced, obviously you've got the defensive midfielder, then you've got a bit more of a box-to-box option, then you've got your creative midfielder. Clinton's going to have to play a slightly deeper role to how she played at Tottenham, but I think she's suited to that. She could also play obviously off the left-hand side, and I think, actually, not to go into it too much, but Grace Clinton is going to feel like a new signing this season because she was at Tottenham last year. Speaking of players who were at Tottenham last year, Chelle Mbise, and we know the connection there between Clinton and Mbise. What a fantastic signing Chelle Mbise is. I got a bit of flack for saying this the other week and talking about this, but I think that losing Mbise and getting Raso, as good as Hayley Raso is, feels like a downgrade to me, because I rate Mbise so highly. I think it's a great signing. The issue I have is that did Manchester United really need a right winger?
No.
Was that their big position that was an issue? Not really, but I get it. I think she's a very good player. If the option became there in the market, you've got to go and make a move. You've already got the connection between Clinton and Mbise, so I think in that regard it makes a lot of sense. I would have prioritised having a goalkeeper who I think is top quality, but if they have that belief in Fallon Tullis-Joyce, then maybe I can understand that. But yeah, brilliant player, Chelle Mbise. I think she definitely improves Manchester United's attack, and as we go on over to the squad screen, they are looking very healthy.
Yes. Yeah, very much so. I think Mbise is... I think she's very, very good. You know, one of the main reasons Tottenham did go on to that FA Cup final. And hopefully, again, she's one of those players where in a higher quality side, hopefully she can raise her game as well and perform even better than she did last season.
She was at a higher quality side.
Maybe that is the other problem. But yeah, Mbise, she's a good player. It's a decent signing.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's have a look then at that squad screen. So in goal, Fallon Tullis-Joyce and Middleton Patel. Apparently, it is mandatory that you have a double-barrel surname to play in goal for Manchester United this season. So maybe that's why they didn't go for someone like Enandozi. Like I said, they should have also.
Pero Magnine.
They should have gone Pero Magnine. That would have. There you go. That fit their little criteria there. But I've not watched enough Fallon Tullis-Joyce, but I have some doubts about whether she is WSL quality. I definitely don't think she's on the level of Mary Earps.
Nowhere near.
I think when I say WSL quality, she's definitely able to play in the WSL. Like, she's not.
Yeah.
But is she Manchester United? Is she pushing for Europe? Is she top 4 WSL quality? The sharp end of the WSL. Does she match up to Keating, to Hampton, to Musovic, to Van Domselaar, even Zinsberger? I just don't think she does. No. So that's where I have my doubts with it. I know there's a lot of people who think she's going to do a good job, and I guess we'll see.
Time will tell. It's the only thing. Yes,
time will. Middleton Patel. So there we go. Who knows? But it's going to be interesting to see who starts. Whether Tullis-Joyce can come and have a big enough impact.
The problem with the gamble is that if it goes wrong, that's it. That is it for the season, because they haven't brought in another goalkeeper. If Tullis-Joyce comes in and doesn't perform, they're stuck. They're stranded with her in goal till January at least. So it's a very... I think if she does well, great decision. But my worry is for United, if she doesn't come in and perform, they've got a big problem.
Yeah, definitely so. And let's move to right back then. They've got Jade Riviere there, who is a decent player. They've got Aoife Mannion, who is a reliable backup option. And I've included Evie Rabjohn because I'd like to see her get some first team minutes this season. I know she's currently out with a knee injury that she sustained at the Under-19 Women's Euros. But we expect that once she's back fit, I think she'll get a couple of first team minutes, even if it's just in League Cups and stuff like that. I want to see her in the first team fold a bit this season. Right centre half, at centre half they've got Dominique Janssen, they've got Millie Turner and Maya Le Tissier. I wouldn't be surprised if they try to fit all three into some sort of tactic, or if they do just go a bit of the rotation between Janssen and Turner. Either way, they are a little bit light at centre back, so they are going to have to rely on youth to cover the positions there, or have players like Mannion who can cover centre half, but maybe that's not their best position. play in that role. So they do have a little bit of a gap there. Then at left back, they've only really got Sandberg to start this season. George is still recovering from that the ACL injury she picked up in October, I believe. And Hannah Blundell obviously is pregnant now. So they are a little bit light at left back, but obviously George will come back and Blundell will eventually give birth. So they should have both of them back. But by the start of next season, I think George will be back at some point this campaign. So that, again, is going to feel like a new signing because she's been injured for so long. Then analysing their midfield makeup, defensive midfield is going to be Awujo and Ladd. I think that's fairly comfortable there. We could see Nalsund drag deeper, but I think she'll compete with Clinton for the slightly more box-to-box, slightly more ball-winner type role in that midfield. In attacking midfield, it's going to be between Toon and Miyazawa. I think Miyazawa will play some minutes on the left wing as well. We could even see a midfield of Toon and Miyazawa, so that's not out of the realms possibility. And actually, against more defensive teams, that may be the way you pull them apart. But equally, with Clinton in there, she can just push on a bit more. So they've got a really nice midfield makeup if it works. My doubt is if Clinton can't play that more defensive role, and she does get caught up too high too many times, Awujo's got to cover all of this space. And she might be a good defensive midfielder, but is she good enough to cover the entire midfield? Probably not, because there aren't many that are. Unless you've got a Yui Hasegawa, in which case you can just abandon midfielding because Hasegawa's covering the earth, then you'll be alright in that. But I don't know if Awujo is that player.
Yeah, no.
On the left-hand side, Melvin Mallard, I think she'll get a lot of minutes this season. Hopefully. She should be the starter on that left-hand side with Garcia gone. And obviously Leah Galton is still there to compete for minutes as well, but we could see her play at left back, obviously without Blundell and without George there. So they have still got that option. Then on the right hand side, Bizet and Nikita Paris. Paris, their top goal scorer last season, yet she may not even start this season with Chellin Bizet in there as well. So that rotation is going to be interesting to see. I think Bizet will be keen to ensure she's the starter after a few months there, but during the bedding in process, we may still see Paris start the campaign. And then through the middle, you've got Elizabeth Turland, you've got Heisei Ferreira, and you've got Rachel Williams. So, Williams' contract expires at the end of the season. I think this will probably be her last season at Manchester United.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be hugely surprised if she was to depart on a free next time, but what a fantastic servant she's been. And obviously with Turland there, with Heisei there, the minutes just aren't there to go round anymore. So I think in that regard, we'll see Turland start. We'll see Heisei. I know Heisei can play in wide areas or in attack midfield, so they have got options there. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah,
I mean, I think from a bit of a weird point of view, United will be hoping to not see Williams and Parrish play too much this season. They only really came in last year because the rest of the attack wasn't firing. They weren't finding the goals, so Skinner went to his trusted, he went to Williams, he went to Paris, and that's what, and Paris ended up being their highest scorer in the league. So, I mean, United will kind of be hoping that the reason that Paris and Williams won't play this season is because the other forwards should be in form, they should be firing.
Yeah.
So hopefully for United that can happen.
Yeah, definitely so. Let's have a look then at how United start the season, because obviously those first 5 games can make or break your campaign. If you win them all, you look like a WSL title contender. If you lose them all, then maybe Manchester United are going to get relegated. So let's have a look at who they've got to play. I think they have quite a nice start. They've got West Ham at Old Trafford on the 21st of September. That's quite a nice one, actually, to start the campaign. I think that's a game they should be winning quite comfortably. Yeah. The same for Everton away the week after. They should really take 6 points from their first 2 matches. However, they do then have Chelsea away from home as well at Kings Meadow. So that's a really difficult game, followed by Tottenham at home, repeat of last year's Women's FA Cup final. Again, difficult matches there. And then Brighton at the end of the month, an away trip for United, a return for Elizabeth Turland to Brighton. I think that's going to be interesting to see what happens there, but they should beat Brighton. Realistically, if they think they're going to be contending for the top 3 this season, they've got to take 12 minimum from 12 points from those first 5 games. I think I wouldn't be surprised to see that be 10 or even 9 if they were to lose or draw to Tottenham or slip up against someone else, which was very Man United to, batter Tottenham and then go and lose to Brighton or something. So, I'm going to be interested to see how they get on. I think the Chelsea game's probably just out of their reach right now. We saw them at Stamford Bridge last year and, they just couldn't get anywhere near Lauren James. No. I think if they've not done enough this summer, and if Chelsea play as well as they have in pre-season, if they're playing like that in the WSL, I think they're going to be really difficult to beat for anyone this year. Yeah. So that's going to be a tough one for Manchester United. But other than that, they should take at least 9 points. They'll be hoping 12 points from the first 5 matches. It's not a bad start. It's not a bad start to the season. West Ham, Everton, really nice games for them to get underway with, and obviously they can look to build their season from there. But yeah, I think there are things to be positive about United this season. There are also things to be really negative about. I think the general consensus amongst United fans is, though, that everything is negative. And I think reserve judgment for the start of the season, I get why there is a bit of negativity, because Skinner's not very popular, because United don't play very attractive or interesting football. But just wait. I understand it's very difficult because they're not making progress, but at least give them a couple of weeks. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a really interesting season.
Yeah, it's one of those with United. It looks like it's going to work on paper. It's a good side. It's a balanced squad. That Skinner's decent, and they've just won a trophy. They've got no momentum. We're just winning the FA Cup, but as we know of United, it's never that simple. And I'm sure, as the season starts, things will happen on the pitch, things will happen off the pitch, and suddenly it'll be the same kind of season that United had last year.
What we can guarantee is that things will happen.
Yeah, something's going to happen. It's either going to be a miracle, not a miracle, but either it's going to be incredible and they're top, or they're doing something incredible, or it's going to be disappointing.
If they were genuine contenders with Chelsea, Man City and Arsenal.
No,
but if they were, they've got the nicest first 5 games.
They have.
If they do win all of those first 5 matches, they should be considered as one of the favourites, because they've beaten Chelsea in there.
Chelsea.
So that's the big thing. It's going to be interesting to see, but I guess only time will tell. But that's everything for this preview. If you have enjoyed and want to see more, then go and check out the rest of our previews. There'll be a link to yesterday's video where we spoke about Manchester City on screen now, so go and give that a click. Make sure to leave a like and a comment down below as well, of course. That is everything from us today. Thank you guys very, very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.